What if your hobbies could unlock a more radiant, elevated version of you in 2025? Feminine queens, it's time to answer that call. Because, girl, your most magnetic self begins when you get a hobby. Think about it. Every minute you invest in yourself is a rebellion against a world that wants you small, distracted, and available. Hobbies aren't just pastimes, they're portals to your power. And 2025? That's your year to step through. Welcome to a space where passion meets purpose, darlings. I'm your guide here at Feminine Queen, where we don't just dabble in hobbies, we curate sacred acts of self-creation. Let's be real. Scrolling, binging, and autopilot routines won't crown you the heroine of your own story. High-value living isn't about stuffing calendars with tasks. It's about choosing pursuits that whisper to your soul, sharpen your glow, and turn mundane moments into magic. But let's get raw. Society sells us self-care as face masks and consumerism. I call BS. True self-creation isn't bought, it's cultivated. It's the difference between numbing out and showing up, between existing as a background character and starring in a life that thrums with meaning. This isn't another how to look interesting checklist. We're diving deeper. What makes a hobby feminine? High value? It's not porcelain teacups or perfect calligraphy, unless that's your vibe. It's about intentionality, activities that reconnect you with your divine feminine energy, spark curiosity, and make life feel like a ritual, not a rinse and repeat cycle. Feminine energy thrives in creation, not consumption. It's the difference between painting a sunset because it ignites your spirit versus forcing a hobby to fit someone else's aesthetic. High value isn't about prestige. It's about how an activity honors your rhythm, fuels your fire, and makes you feel alive in your skin. So, are you ready to trade busy for brilliance? To alchemize ordinary hours into a life that demands to be lived? Let's explore hobbies that don't just fill time, they redefine it. Stay close, Queen. Your next obsession awaits, and this is how we level up. This isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about reclaiming your time as a temple. Imagine looking back a year from now, not at a blur of sameness, but at a mosaic of moments where you chose you, where every brushstroke, dance step, or garden bloom became a love letter to your potential. That's the power we're unlocking together. 1. Artistry as alchemy. Turn mundanity into magic. Your hands aren't just tools, they're wands. Creative hobbies like pottery, calligraphy, or digital illustration aren't mere pastimes. They're rituals of transformation. When you mold clay or paint a canvas, you're alchemizing raw materials into fragments of your soul. Every brushstroke whispers, "I exist beyond survival." This isn't about talent, it's about claiming your right to create beauty in a world obsessed with utility. Imagine your kitchen as a laboratory. Baking sourdough becomes a dance with fermentation, candle making, a meditation on light and shadow. Creativity isn't a hobby, it's rebellion against a lifeless routine. But let's dig deeper. Alchemy wasn't just about turning lead into gold, it was about transcending the ordinary. When you paint, you're not just mixing pigments, you're resurrecting emotions buried under spreadsheets and Zoom calls. A blank page isn't emptiness, it's a portal. Think of Frida Kahlo's self-portraits, how she turned pain into pigment, or how Van Gogh's Starry Nights were screams against the void. Your art doesn't need galleries. Your life becomes the gallery. That watercolor of your morning coffee? A monument to mindfulness. Your Instagram feed? A manifesto. Creation isn't optional, it's oxygen. Okay, my little artist, let's chat. Have you ever tried doodling just for fun, or maybe baking something silly like heart-shaped cookies? I swear, the moment you let yourself play with colors or shapes, it's like your whole heart lights up. You don't need to be Picasso. Trust me, my first painting looked like a blob with feelings, and I still loved it. What's one tiny creative thing you could try this week? I'd adore hearing about it. Because you, yes, you, are a masterpiece in progress. 2. Crafting as a ritual, where threads become prayers. Knitting isn't just yarn, it's stitching intention into existence. When you crochet a scarf or sew a dress, you're weaving patience and precision into every loop. These acts are sacred. They force you to slow down, to honor the quiet power of repetition. In a world of instant gratification, creating something tangible over weeks or months is radical. Your grandmother's quilts weren't just fabric, they were love letters in textile form. Your hobbies can be heirlooms in progress. proof that you refuse to let your life be disposable. Consider the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection. That lopsided vase you threw on the pottery wheel, it's a relic of your humanity. Crafting teaches you to marry discipline with surrender, to plan the stitch count but embrace the frayed edge. When you knit, you're coding rhythm into your nervous system. Each click of the needles is a metronome for your pulse. And when you gift that scarf, you're not giving wool, you're gifting hours of your life, spun into warmth. This isn't craftivism, it's soul work. Hey, sweetie, can we talk about how magical crafting feels? Imagine curling up with a cup of tea, your favorite playlist on, and just letting your hands create something cozy. I once made a wonky little coaster, total mess, but it's my favorite thing because it's mine. What's a craft you've always wanted to try? No pressure, just love. Because every stitch you make is like a hug you're giving yourself. 3. Movement as poetry. Your body is the pen. Dancing isn't exercise. It's hieroglyphics written in muscle and motion. Whether you're twirling in a ballet studio or shimmying alone in your bedroom, movement translates emotions your words can't capture. Ice skating? That's writing sonnets with blades. Pilates? Sculpting your silhouette like marble. Even walking becomes a manifesto when you stride with purpose. I am here. I am alive. I am claiming this earth with my footsteps. Your body isn't a project to fix. It's an instrument of expression. Let it speak. But let's talk about the why. Dance was humanity's first language. Before words, we had rhythm, tribal drums, stomping feet, the sway of firelight. When you dance, you're plugging into ancestral code. That hip roll in salsa, it's the same undulation that birthed civilizations. Ballet's pliés, echoes of courtly revolutions. Your body isn't betraying you. When it stumbles, it's rewriting the script. Think of Martha Graham, who turned contraction and release into a vocabulary of anguish and ecstasy. Your hobbies aren't about burning calories. They're about igniting your primal voice. Oh, my dancing queen, you've got to try this. Put on your silliest song, yes, even that guilty pleasure one, and just sway a little. I'm giggling thinking about my own kitchen dance parties, spatula mic and all. When did you last let your body move just for joy? You're so beautiful when you do, and I'm rooting for you to feel that freedom. Tell me your favorite way to move. I'm all ears. 4. Intellectual pursuits. Your mind is a sanctuary, not a storage unit. Learning isn't about collecting facts. It's about building a cathedral of curiosity inside your skull. When you study astrology or dissect Dostoevsky, you're not just filling your brain. You're designing a labyrinth where ideas duel and dance. Reading fantasy novels isn't escapism. It's mental cross-training. Chess? That's war games for philosophers. Your intellect isn't a trophy to polish. It's a wildfire. Feed it with books that scorch, languages that lick at your tongue, and questions that unravel your certainty. Let's dismantle the myth of useless knowledge. Marie Curie didn't study radioactivity to be productive. She followed obsession. Your midnight deep dive into Byzantine history? That's not procrastination. It's time travel. Every fact you absorb rewires your synapses, making you a more dangerous conversationalist, a sharper problem solver. Imagine your mind as a library with secret passages. Learning Italian isn't just for trips to Tuscany. It's for decoding Dante's Inferno in its raw, rib-cracking glory. Your brain is a beast. Starve it of novelty and it'll gnaw on the furniture of your comfort zone. My clever cutie, let's get curious together. What's one thing you've always wanted to learn? Maybe stars, stories, or even a sneaky chess move? I once stayed up late reading about ancient myths and felt like a total goddess. Your mind is so sparkly when it's exploring, don't you think? Pick something fun to dive into this week, and let's chat about it. I'm obsessed with how brilliant you are. 5. Social hobbies. Connection is the ultimate currency. Volunteering at animal shelters or hosting dinner parties isn't networking. It's soul weaving. Every conversation, every shared meal, every collaborative project stitches you into the tapestry of humanity. Travel isn't an Instagram checklist. It's a mirror held up to your biases and wonders. When you salsa dance with strangers or debate philosophy in a cafe, you're not just socializing, you're exchanging fragments of your essence. Loneliness dies where shared passion thrives. But here's the twist. Social hobbies are stealth audits of your boundaries. That book club? It's a lab to practice saying, I disagree. The hiking group? a test of who you become when blisters bloom and rain soaks your socks. True connection isn't about consensus. It's about friction that sparks growth. Think of the salons of 1920s Paris, where artists and anarchists clashed over absinthe. Your trivia night isn't trivial. It's a microcosm of democracy. And when you volunteer, you're not just giving back. You're forging neural pathways that blur the line between self and stranger. Sweetheart, you're a connection wizard. Have you ever thought about hosting a little get-together or joining a group that lights you up? I threw a tiny tea party once. Spilled half the pot, but we laughed so hard. Who's someone you'd love to share a hobby with? You're so lovable, and I just know you'll glow even brighter surrounded by your people. Let's make some memories, okay? Yes, you, the woman reading this, fingertips hovering, wondering if you're allowed to want more. This isn't about hobbies. This is about sovereignty. Every time you choose joy over obligation, curiosity over complacency, you crown yourself. That voice whispering, "But what if I fail?" Silence it with action. Your life isn't a rehearsal. The world needs your particular madness. Your terrible first pottery mug, your off-key singing, your overwatered plants. This imperfect action beats perfect inertia. Now let's dismantle the last barriers. 6. Physical mastery. Your body is a temple. Time to be the high priestess. Tennis isn't just a sport, it's geometry in motion. When you swing that racket, you're calculating angles, momentum, and the sweet spot between control and abandon. Horseback riding? That's a dialogue between two beings, trust translated into gait. Even weightlifting becomes sacred when you reframe it. You're not toning, you're forging armor for the battles only you know. Physical hobbies aren't vanity projects. They're ceremonies of respect for the vessel that carries your dreams. Let's get primal. Your body isn't a machine, it's an ecosystem. When you surf, you're not conquering waves, you're negotiating with the ocean's mood. Rock climbing, it's a conversation with gravity. And yoga isn't about flexibility, it's about mapping the constellations of your tension. Ever notice how runners describe hitting the wall? That's code for I met my shadow and outran it. Physical mastery isn't about six-packs. It's about the euphoria of watching your body surprise you. That handstand you nailed at 35? A middle finger to every age-appropriate expectation. Oh, my strong darling, you're a wonder. What moves your body and soul? Maybe a jog, a stretch, or a wild leap. I tried yoga once and fell over laughing. It was perfect. How do you feel most powerful in your skin? You're a goddess, no matter what. And I'm here clapping for every step you take. Let's celebrate your strength together. 7. Culinary arts. Your kitchen is a studio, not a prison. Baking croissants isn't domestic drudgery. It's edible architecture. When you layer butter into dough, you're engineering flakiness. A perfectly seared steak, that's chemistry with a crust. Food photography turns your plate into a still life, whispering, "Feast with your eyes first." Cooking isn't gender roles, it's alchemy. Burn the narrative that kitchens confine. Reclaim them as laboratories where you play mad scientist with flavors. But let's slice deeper. The chaîne de cuisine, the hierarchy of professional kitchens, was built by men. But you're rewriting the recipe. When you ferment kimchi, you're harnessing bacterial armies. Baking sourdough, that's a tango with wild yeast. And plating, it's transient art, destined to be destroyed. Think of Julia Child, who turned French cuisine into a revolution for American housewives. Your kitchen isn't a cage, it's a stage. That failed soufflé? A lesson in humility. The perfect macaron? A love letter to precision. Food isn't fuel, it's folklore. My kitchen cutie, let's whip up some fun. What's your go-to dish? Or maybe something you'd love to try? I burned my first cake but ate it anyway. Pure joy. What flavor makes your heart dance? You're a culinary queen, and I'm so excited to imagine you creating yummy love. Share your kitchen adventures with me. I'm drooling already. 8. Adventure as rebellion. Refuse to be tamed. Hiking isn't exercise, it's trespassing on eternity. When you summit a peak, you're spitting in the face of routine. Kayaking through mangroves, that's navigating the veins of the planet. Even gardening is subversion. You're conspiring with sunlight and soil to create life. Adventure hobbies scream, I am not predictable. They're middle fingers to anyone who thinks they've got you figured out. Adventure is the antidote to atrophy. Shackleton didn't explore Antarctica to find himself. He went to lose the parts that didn't serve. Your solo road trip? It's not wanderlust. It's a collision with your shadow selves. When you garden, you're not growing tomatoes, you're growing grit. Every weed pulled is a tiny exorcism. And skydiving? That's not adrenaline, it's time travel. For 60 seconds, you're a comet. Adventure isn't about risk, it's about remembering you're alive in a world selling numbness. Hey, my wildflower, let's get adventurous. What's one bold thing you've dreamed of doing, big or small? I once got lost on a hike and found the prettiest view. It was fate. What's calling your brave little heart? You're so fierce and fabulous, and I'm cheering for you to chase that thrill. Tell me your next adventure. I'm all in. 9. Digital creativity. Pixels are your new Pigment editing videos isn't just content creation, it's time travel. You're splicing moments into narratives that outlive you. Graphic design? Visual hypnosis. Your Instagram feed isn't a highlight reel. It's a curated gallery of your evolving soul. Digital hobbies aren't less than analog. They're modern cave paintings. Future archaeologists will study your TikTok transitions to understand what made us feel alive. But here's the rub. Digital creation is existential warfare. Every meme you make is a grenade against nihilism. Your YouTube channel? A lighthouse for the lost. When you code, you're not writing algorithms, you're composing spells. And your podcast? It's a campfire in the digital wilderness. Remember, Banksy shreds his art, but your digital footprint is indelible. That tweet you deleted, it's floating in the cloud, a ghost of your former self. Digital hobbies aren't distractions, they're time capsules. Your great-grandchildren will scroll your Pinterest and think, damn, she was vivid. My digital darling, you're a star online. Have you ever played with a fun filter or doodled on a pic just for giggles? I made a goofy video once. Total flop, but I adored it. What's a digital project you'd love to try? You shine so bright in every pixel, and I'm here fangirling over your creativity. Let's make something sparkly together. 10. Authenticity, the ultimate magnetism. Here's the secret they'll never sell you. Your quirks are catnip. Collecting vintage teacups, obsessing over bug taxonomy, that's gold. A high-value woman isn't polished. She's electrically specific. Your hobbies aren't about impressing others. They're breadcrumbs leading you home to yourself. When you stop editing your passions to fit templates, you become a gravitational force. The world doesn't need more well-rounded women, it needs your jagged, glorious edges. But let's gut the cliches. Authenticity isn't being yourself. It's building yourself, brick by bizarre brick. Georgia O'Keeffe didn't paint flowers. She painted vaginas disguised as petals. Frida Kahlo's unibrow wasn't a statement. It was a dare. Your weird hobby? That's your fingerprint. When you lean into niche obsessions, 19th century mourning jewelry, competitive axe throwing, whatever, you emit a frequency only your tribe hears. Stop sanding your edges. The right people aren't repelled by your intensity. They're addicted to it. Oh, my unique angel, you're pure magic. What's that quirky thing you adore? Something totally you. I collect tiny spoons. Random, right? And it makes me so happy. What's your special spark? You're so lovably you, and I'm obsessed with every bit of it. Let's celebrate your weird and wonderful self. I'm your biggest fan. Drop the shoulds. Burn the Pinterest boards. Your hobbies are not resume lines. They're love letters to your future self. Start messy. Quit often. Let your curiosity be the compass. The feminine queen isn't born. She's forged in the fires of trying. Now go. Create, move, learn, connect. Your throne awaits. Ladies, the path to becoming unbreakable starts here. Let's be clear, stoicism isn't about suppressing your femininity. It's about forging it into something unshakable. Every hobby we've explored today is a chisel. Sculpting discipline into your days. Teaching you to dance with chaos, not fear it. To find power not in controlling the world, but in mastering your response to it. The world will try to distract you. Algorithms, noise, others' expectations. But a feminine queen doesn't rage against the storm. She becomes the eye of it. She knows that true luxury isn't a curated Instagram feed. It's the quiet confidence of a woman who's invested in herself so deeply that nothing can derail her peace. So when life hands you delays, you'll bake sourdough, needing patience into every fold. When it throws chaos, you'll journal, turning turmoil into clarity. These hobbies aren't escapes. They're rehearsals for living with virtue, for building a soul that thrives not because life is easy, but because you've trained it to find opportunity in obstacle. Here's your stoic truth. You don't need more time. You need better rituals. Rituals that anchor you when emotions run high, that turn setbacks into strategy, that make your femininity not fragile but formidable. So go, craft, garden, dance, write, but do it with the grit of a philosopher queen. Not for applause, but for the silent satisfaction of knowing. No matter what 2025 brings, you'll meet it with practiced hands, a curious mind, and a spirit that bends but never breaks. And hey, my precious queen, before I let you go, I just want you to know how much you mean to me. You're not just watching a video. You're part of this big, beautiful sisterhood. If you ever feel wobbly, I'm right here, and so are all these amazing souls watching with you. Take that first step, my love. Try something new, something you. I believe in you with all my heart, and I can't wait to see you shine in 2025. You're unstoppable, and I'm so lucky to be on this journey with you. Until next time, stay sovereign, my darling.